Hey, carp anglers, James Sanders here, and Thomas Richard is not on today. So, you guys got me. Yeehaw. Wow. We had a great week. I know it just, man, had a lot of difficulty with this whole Facebook thing. But hopefully we can get this started. I need to catch computer technician, that's what I need to do. So, today's Carp Talk podcast Carp Talk is with Christine Simpson. She's sponsored by K1 Baits, and also she's also, I believe that she's the captain of the USA Carp Squad. So real quick here, we'll see if I can call her, and then we'll get this thing started too. So 766. Wow.
Hey.
Hey, Christine, how you guys doing?
I'm good.
Oh my gosh, stressed out trying to get this whole thing started. Originally, yeah, I did. Originally, Tom, trying to know, Tommy was going to be in today, so you just got me today. Some personal things going on, because everything worked out the right way. So you just got me and everybody on Facebook Live. So right now you're live on Facebook, and of course our YouTube is being recorded right at this moment. How you been doing?
Oh my gosh, I've been doing really fabulous, actually.
Yeah.
People that know me or, know about me know I've made some pretty serious life changes, and things are much, much better for me, and I'm a lot happier, and, that's that.
Can people out there on Facebook land, can you guys hear me? Give me some thumbs up if you can. I hope you can. So, just give me some thumbs up, or, say, yeah, I can hear you. And, well, I'm not getting no response yet. So, great. Yes, thank God. Woo! Man. Oh, so you can see them too. Good.
Yeah, I can see.
Wow.
I can see the comments. So.
Man, if you guys can see that, I'm not sure, man. I'm sweating over here, man. Just trying to get this stressed out, just trying to get this thing going, man. But anyway, and welcome to the show, Kristen. You're one of the. Christine is a name that's in a carp angler woman's world, well known. You know what I'm talking about. I believe you're also you're the captain of the USA Carp Squad, right?
Yes.
Okay. Real quick, so the anglers out there that don't know you, once maybe a little bit about your background. Can you just tell a bit about yourself and what you do for a living, and it's kind of so they get to know a little bit of background of you.
Yeah, I don't know how much time we have, but we've already explained my name and everything, and I've been doing carp fishing, wild wire carp fishing since right around 2000. I want to say 2010, 2011. And that's, I predominantly wild water fish. I had a little stint for a while where I was visiting all the pay lakes. James, you were involved in that back when I had the Indiana Carp Club. And, you and I and a couple other people were putting together little tournaments, some at the pay lakes, some at the wild water, and at the end of the year they faced off, so that was a lot of fun. But one thing I did find out is I completely and totally suck at pay lake fishing. I mean, I'm horrible. So I can't give a single piece of advice other than if you don't know what you're doing, go stand by somebody who does and watch what they're doing.
That's another question you brought up. I'm right there with you. People, a lot of wild carpers, and I'm not trying to start anything or anything, but and this is all professional, okay? People just say it's just a, you know, a hole in the, you know, whole little pool, you know, little pond, whatever, you know, and they're all gathered up, so, you know, like a little fishbowl basically. But once you get there, it's a totally different type of ball game, you know, in my opinion.
Yeah, I share that opinion because what I found, you know, and I might be wrong because I always have a very humorous take on everything.
Right.
But what I think it is all of these fish had seen everything. You know, I mean, they had seen and smelled everything. And you literally have to be that one person at the right moment with the one thing that they either haven't seen or are interested in at that very moment, or, you know, I mean, it's just so strange because they all are right there. They don't have a lot of places to go and hide, but they can sit there and just not even give your stuff a hit.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I kind of feel about exactly the same way you did. But and you know, there's everything getting thrown at them. You know what I mean? And there's proteins like hog shell, that's got protein in it, and other oats, and you know, there's some more food sources with them there too. But you know, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead and tell me a little bit more about yourself.
No, you were good. Okay. So, anyways, yeah, I started kind of getting into it back in 2010, and I think this might take care of like one or some of your questions because in a nutshell, it kind of explains, you know, how all this started and how, you know, I am where I'm at now with it all.
Right.
So I went into the bait shop, Westside Bait and Tackle down in Indianapolis because I do love to fish for anything to eat, you know, so catfish, perch, crappie, I mean, you name it. If you can catch it and cook it, I will eat it. So I've been kind of jonesing to go fishing. I'm originally from California, and, you know, with moving to Indiana, get settled, get jobs, and stuff like that, I just hadn't had time. So I went into the bait shop, and I'm looking around in this bait shop. I'm like, so amazing, because if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody is so friendly, and they're so in your business. You know, you like walk in there, and people are like, hey, you know, they don't know me. Let me show you this, let me show you that. Like,
we're talking about Westside Bait, right?
Westside Bait, totally, yeah.
God, I miss that place.
And it was always jam-packed with people. Like, you imagine the restaurants where there's always the old guys at the lighters table telling, like, some, you know,
fishing stories.
Yes. So it was like that, right? But you always felt, well, so anyways, I go in there and I'm looking around, and I'm seeing, like, these weird tackle things and stuff, and so I'm, like, looking at the walls, and there's these massive poles, and I'm thinking, what the hell are these massive poles doing here? There's like oceans around here, you know? We're in Indiana. And so I start seeing on the walls all these pictures of carp, but I can't remember who it was that I asked, but I turned around and asked somebody, man, people fish for those on purpose? And it might have been Jimmy, you know, and like the crowd roared, you know, they just started laughing and said, oh, you have no idea. So, you know, fast forward, I, you know, ended up leaving there. Jimmy sold me some little, you know, he's like, I'm not going to sell you some expensive pole.
And that's what he is. That's the way he is.
Yeah, he said, let me just, you know, get you set up with this little starter pole and like this little NGT alarm, you know, one little bank stick and a, you know, a bag of carp crack or whatever it was called at that point, you know, and just, you know, you mix a can of corn with that, you know, he was explaining it to me, you know, and so like, I'm like, oh my God, this is unbelievable, you know, and here's this little, you know, hair rig thing you put on there, and I'm looking at this stuff like, what is this? You know, I've never seen anything like it. So Rick Splinter was working there, and so I started talking to him, and, you know, he's an amazing angler, so but I didn't know that at the time, you know, he was the guy behind the counter. So I started talking to him, and he, like, laid out this whole thing for me, how to tie the weight, and do this and do that, and, you know, all the way down the line, and there's this thing in front of me that I've never seen, and I'm looking at it like, how in the heck is that supposed to catch a fish when the bait's not even on the hook, right? I was so confused. So Rick and, you know, there's Gilbert, and they're like, you know what, we'll take you out fishing sometime. Okay, so fast forward again, I go home at that particular time. I'm so excited. I have this pole, I have this stuff, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to try this. There's a river right there. This is going to be neat. So I go down there, and I catch absolutely nothing but an attitude. And for days on end. So at that particular time, I was having one of my well houses re-roofed.
Okay.
And it was just really weird because Justin Keaton and his brother Kenny were the ones that were roofing the house. That's how I know them, right?
Yeah.
So I go home and I'm like, Justin, you want to see this cool stuff I got at the bait shop? Oh my God. And he looked at me and he goes, that's a carp pole. You know, yeah, I mean, how'd you know? He goes, because I pay lake fish. I'm like, well, what's that? Right? So he takes me over to the Pay Lake Hubbard's, and I was fascinated because, well, here's the funny story.
Mm-hmm.
So they take me over there. This was like kind of my first experience without being alone at doing this. And, you know, throw that hair rig away, you know, you got to use this, and then rig up my pole and throw it out there. Well, they have these alarms. I have just this one little NGT alarm, but they have some, like, fancy Delphums and, you know, whatever. And I'm like, what is that? Like, oh, my God. So, you know, Kenny catches the first fish. Well, he's got a pod, which I've never seen before, with these Delcom alarms, and his rods are just so beautiful, you know, the whole thing. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what is this broomstick I have in my hand? Like, look at this guy's stuff, right? And he's catching fish. So then in my mind, I'm like, I said, Justin, do those particular alarms right there have, like, some kind of sonar or something? Like, I'm confused why my pole and alarm is not catching anything. And I have the same bait, the same hooks, you know, but Kenny is steadily catching fish. Is there something going on with this Delcom brand? It has sonar or something, you know, and they're just laughing at me. They're like, oh my God, you're so ridiculous. You're so foolish. I'm like, but I'm serious. Like, to me, these were serious questions.
Right.
I blanked, right?
Yeah.
I blanked over and over and over. I could catch nothing but a catfish. So I was convinced that the alarm was the problem. It was not me. It was that I had this NGT alarm that did not have the fish sonar or whatever was calling the fish through the rod. It was not me. It was a malfunction of my equipment. So I go back over to the bait shop, you know, and I like tell Jimmy, like, I don't know, this stuff right here, I don't think it's going to work. I've been fishing 6 or 7 times. I haven't caught anything. Right. So Rick says, you know what? Let me take you. I'll take you. I promise you, I'm going to make sure you catch a fish. We're going to go to Celinda. So Rick, me, Gilbert, I can't even remember who all went. And this is one of my, like, most fondest experiences of, like, ever catching carp. It was my first time. So your first time's always your best. I think it was my best. So we're there. I have no idea what a small fish feels like, a big fish. I've never caught one, right? So I'm fishing in this little crevice because that's where Rick said we're going to catch the most fish right here where there's snags. Well, I mean, I'm not dumb. How am I going to get it in if there's snags? I can do this kind of stuff, right? You know, and there's like people watching me. Well, secretly they had went over around the corner and threw a bunch of canned corn in there to make sure that I caught a fish out of it, right? So, you know, and I had this, like, what I thought was this fancy little rig set up with all this different stuff on it. He's like, nope, you're going to fish with just this one little piece of rubber corn. Just pitch it out there. You know, I promise you you're going to catch a fish. And all of a sudden, my little rinky-dink NGT alarm is, you know, making that little funky noise it makes. And, oh, my God, I almost, like, broke my ankles and everything trying to get over to that rod. I get it, I set the hook, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Walter. Like, in my mind, I know that I have a 40. I know that I have the biggest fish that lake's ever seen. My rod's like, I had some kind of like little chub snooper or some, you know, rod. It's bent all the way over. I'm fighting the fish. It's running. It's a snag. Rick helps me get it out. Gilbert's standing there like the old wise man, you know, pull to the right, watch the rod tip. I finally get this fish, and I'm like, oh my God, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. They got the net in the water, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. And I see it, and it's like 3 pounds. It's this little tiny, you know, this little tiny fish, and I'm like, this is what spawned my complete and total obsession with it. That tiny fish probably took me 15 minutes to get it in. That was my first one, so I messed up, you know. But the fact that something that small could put up that much of a fuss and be that fun, you know, I was like so excited about it, you know. So I get the little fish out, and I'll take the hook out myself, you know. I wanted to do it myself. No, don't touch me, I got it. You know, so I get the little hook out, and I'm holding this little fish, and there was some people watching that weren't with us, and the guy comes over and he's like, hey, you know, can I have, like, he wanted it to eat it or something, and I looked at this guy like, what? You know, this is my prize.
Yeah.
Catch. You know,
what the heck's wrong with you?
You cannot have this fish, and I slid it back into the water, and after the fact, you know, I mean, I felt so bad after the fact because I looked over to where they were, and there's him and his wife and his kids, and, you know, at that moment, I just wanted to let that little masterpiece, that strong little fish go, right? But then I felt bad after because when I looked over and seen these kids, you know, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, what if that's what they were going to eat for dinner tonight? And I just let it go, you know? So there's that. But anyways, it swam again to be free, and hopefully it's, you know, made it onto a 20-pound range or something. But so then from there, you know, this was like in my first month or 6 weeks of, you know, meeting Gil and Rick, Justin, you know, and all this stuff was happening so fast.
Yeah.
And it progressed so quickly after that. You know, tournaments were starting to happen, and I'm like, hey, you know, I'm going to go to these tournaments. People are going, you don't know jack about anything. You know, like, this is a bad idea. You need to get some more fish under your belt.
Right.
Man, I got the money, and I got the heart. Let's go. You know, so then I started going to a couple. You know, how better can you learn than to get in there with the big dogs and get your ass whipped? You know, that's the best way you can learn how to get stuff, you know, and learn from them, right?
100% right.
So, you know, Justin and I tottered off I think before Justin and I went to Baldwinsville, me and Gilbert fished Lake Fork. And, you know, I mean, that poor guy had to, like, take a brand newbie out to a professional tournament. And, I mean, he was great. He taught me whatever he could. And, he, you know, I didn't know how to cast bar or anything like that, you know. So it was a little tough, and we didn't do very well, but we had a good time, and I learned a lot. And that kind of prepared me for the next one, which was me and Justin. And we went to Baldwinsville, and we did very well. We got 4th place, which was actually a paying spot at the time, in a 50-hour tournament. And what's crazy is we led the tournament right out of the gate, but we had an amazing draw. I've never had a draw that good, and I've been doing tournaments since that time.
Wow.
We had an amazing draw. We got a great peg. The fish were already there, so it wasn't rocket science. And, you know, in the end, the people that were much better anglers and more knowledgeable and, you know, deservingly so, beat us, and we got 4th place. But I was totally happy with that. That was an unbelievable finish.
Wow.
For, you know, my second big tournament. So,
oh, heck yeah, that's an awesome tournament to go to for your second time.
Oh my gosh, it was so amazing, and I still go to that tournament every year, and it's still amazing.
I haven't had the pleasure of being in that tournament yet, and I keep on. Matter of fact, I had plans going to that tournament until the whole COVID crap started. You know, like, and I had to cancel it, and that's when they canceled it, and I was like, what the heck, man? So, but it is, and I'll have to make my way. I'll try to shoot for it next year, but.
Oh man, I hope you get to go sometime. It's, you know, even if you don't get a good draw,
right,
and, you know, things look bleak, it's still such a good time. It's a well-ran tournament, you know, with a bunch of anglers that most of them have been doing it over and over and over, so kind of everybody knows the drill. There's no surprises.
Oh, yeah.
It runs really smooth, you know, and it's a beautiful river. It's full of fish, and you're sure to catch something. And if you don't, it's not that you're a horrible angler or anything.
It's fishing.
They just weren't there then. It's fishing.
Even if I mean, even my goal was to, I would just love just to film the whole entire event. You know, just right there and see all the anglers step by step, seeing all their catches. I mean, even when I do the fishing tournaments here, I can see the pleasure of all the people's faces and what fish they caught, you know, and all that their experience at that one moment. You know, it's just, and then the struggles of other carp anglers and the excitement of the other ones, and, you know, and the excitement that's getting ready to happen and how close they are to, you know, going across the finish line. I mean, it's that's one of my pleasures that I enjoy the most about filming. So it's.
I like that. You catch some amazing moments and things, you know, that you can look back at and go, oh my gosh, you know, this person was so happy.
Yeah.
You know, this was so heartbreaking to see this, or, you know, you can, I mean, it's just such a learning experience.
Oh, it is.
Every time you go there.
And even doing these podcasts, I go, heck, you know, I've been doing this probably good, at least the whole carp angling thing, probably almost between 15 and 18 years, but, you know, it's still a learning experience still, you know, and especially doing these podcasts, because right now they're number 24 podcasts, and then, but each carp angler, I'm learning off each one just by talking to them. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow, you do it that way? That's awesome. I mean, just last podcast we just had Phil Lucas, and he's shown me a different technique how to make chow. You know, like with whites, egg white. I'm like, really? That's weird. I never even thought about doing that. You know that. So that video just came out. It's booming up real quick, you know. But I'm sorry, it's not about me, it's about you.
No, it's fine. I mean,
I get excited when I talk about carp fishing. So.
I mean, it's a long process to get like who I am out of it, you know, because I mean, it's just too easy. Well, I am Christine Simpson. But so, you know, after that first tournament, Justin and I kind of partnered up and started going to Baldwinsville all the time.
Right.
And, you know, we went like the very next season, and it's hard to explain how they used to do it, but it was in sections. So, like say, peg 1 through 10 might be section A, 10 through whatever, section B, you know, down the line, so there'd be 5 sections. Well, Justin and I drew a peg that traditionally had never fished well, and we were right next to, but on one side of the bridge away from a local team. This was how bad our draw was, you know, or how bad our luck was. We were on one side of the bridge that traditionally doesn't fish well, because on the other side of the bridge, that's where all the fish are. Yeah. And, you know, 2 parts of the river come together right there, and it's just like loaded with fish. Now, it's a cast to get to them, usually the big ones, but local guys from New York drew the peg that fished there all the time. So Justin and I, you know, and I are like, oh my God, like how possibly bad could your luck be but to draw the peg next to them, right? They know exactly where to fish. They're going to stop us from even catching a straggler, because they're going to shut down, you know, they'll probably draw a bait line and just shut us down. Well, the fact of the matter is they didn't make a bait line, which would have been my first thing I did, you know, shut the next peg off, but they didn't do that. And we were the last peg in the section. So we literally had no thought that we could possibly win this section, especially with that peg in our section. But we did get first in that section. We won that section, beat the fire off of the guys next to us. And, you know, somehow or another, we were able to draw fish, you know, and to hold them. I found a little pocket way on the other side of the river, a little pocket where I was able to put bait, and we just consistently fed it, and the fish would just chill in there, but they were only there. They would only come at a certain time in the morning, 2 to 4. It was like at 4:15, they're out. You know, they had checked out and went on strike. They just weren't there. So for that 4 hours, it was just hand over fist. We'd have rods on the ground that we were standing on with our feet that were running while we were fighting the fish, right?
Did you guys have a runner too?
No, it was just me and him.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
You know, so so it was a 50-hour tournament, and if you can imagine, we didn't find the hole till we were 24 hours into it. So in 26 hours, we caught 2,800 pounds of fish. That was back when it was total weight. So I have never been in that much agony in all of my life, and I've had 2 children. That was the most painful. I literally thought I was having an out-of-body experience, because every muscle was, I mean, it was just out of control. Like every nerve, I mean, it just hurt. Everything hurt. I've never had anything like that before. Where you know, we couldn't sleep. We had to stay awake. Yeah. We had to help each other. The fish were just going crazy, and to catch 2,800 pounds of fish in such a short amount of time took every ounce, every fiber, you know, of your body to keep up. You know, just as this little skinny thing, you know, that can run around and.
He's good. Justin, yeah. He's a man. That boy, he'll put some work in it.
He's got like a ton of energy all the time. And he's
like a little chihuahua. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't sleep when he's fishing, you know. I'm like, dude, I gotta go to bed. He's like, go to bed. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's how he is.
Catch these fish, you know.
That's exactly
I'm like, man, I'm old. I'm about to break down. I can't do this. But we ended up in first place there. So somewhere between the first tournament where we got fourth and then that one where we got first. Now, it wasn't first overall. It was just first, in that section, which was a huge thing, though. It was huge to get first in that section.
Sure.
So it was somewhere in between then that Bogdan and Mihai from K1 Baits kind of started to, take a little interest. Like, hey, man, who's that chick? Where'd she come from? And I can promise you, and they will tell you themselves, it had not an iota of anything to do with my skill, because at that time I was lucky. I didn't know jack still about carp fishing. Right. I was fortunate to have people around me that would teach me stuff. Justin, Rick, Gilbert, would teach me stuff, but I still didn't know anything compared to other people.
Oh, yeah.
I just had been very lucky, and that's how I look at it. So Bogdan and Mihai started to take an interest, and the fact of the matter is, their company, K1 Baits, at one time was leading, maybe it's an argument, but I have one of the leading company at one time, carp bait, and they took an interest because no matter what, in marketing, females sell stuff, right? That's just the way it works. So, and with carp fishing, there's not that many of us in there, so if one's out there and winning tournaments and going to tournaments, it's good marketing. Yeah. So I started out, pro staffing for them, and then moved along to kind of managing their whole little group, because as it turns out, I have a great knack for herding kittens, because that's what it really is. You have all these little kittens that you got to keep track of, and they run amok sometimes. You got to bring them back by their neck and all that kind of stuff. That's what it's like. So I managed their team for a while, and unfortunately at one point they had a complete catastrophic loss of their business of a flood, and they kind of never, it was horrible, and they kind of never recovered from that. So
see, that's what's kind of wondering, are they still around?
They are still around, and
just keep a low profile, right?
Yeah, and they still fish, and they still win tournaments, and they still do all kinds of stuff.
I'm glad to still see them. Yeah.
Yeah, so, there was this big flood, and just like everything got lost. All of the supplies, like tens, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of supplies gone. The, bait machines underwater. It was bad.
That's
right. It was horrible. So that's kind of hard to recover from when they got wives and kids asking questions like, are we really going to spend this kind of money to restore this? You might be sleeping on the couch for a while, and things just progress the way they have. Now they do still make some things. It's probably hard to pry something out of their hands, right. But they still dabble in some stuff, and they still compete, and they still win, and they still use their own stuff and everything. So they're still around.
Okay.
But so that's where I started with them, and that kind of opened a lot of doors for me. From there, I was invited to be kind of, a part of the Team USA, which was just being founded at that particular time. It was a couple of years after, pro staffing with them.
Which that's an amazing opportunity to be in.
The most unbelievable opportunity you could possibly imagine, because it was being headed by Lee Young, and he wanted to put together a team that could compete in Europe at these World Championships, but it's very difficult because most people here have never competed in Europe, and it's very different. So what he wanted was a cohesive group that fished well together, because it's very, very different over there. You're fishing by pairs, so 2, 2, 2, team A, B, C, but you're also counted as a 6, right? So you have to fish cohesively enough that each pair does really well. You're not trying to outfish everybody, you're trying to fish great as a group, right? So, this requires you to have the same tactics, like you might want to, man, I really want to try to throw this, whatever, maggot or something out there, but you don't, because the team is fishing a very, a certain type of way to see what's working, and then everybody changes until you find something that is working. I mean, it's just so difficult to explain, but it's very tedious, and Lee wanted to find a group that could cohesively fish together, and that's how it initially started with the K1 Baits team, because that group of Romanians fish together all the time. So, and they fished like that. They fished tournaments in Europe and so on and so forth. And so once the first year of it was underway, then they were able to branch out and start selecting other anglers from the United States to go, right? The problem with it all, and it still kind of is an issue, is that it's all self-funded. Nobody pays for any of it except...
I knew West Side Bait Tackle was behind it a lot of it.
Yeah, the help with bait and different stuff like that. Jimmy was always great.
He's awesome.
So, that's, I got started in that being actually a reserve angler, so that if, somebody got sick, God forbid somebody got hurt, I would step in. And then went from that to vice captain to captain. Because, like I said, I have an amazing knack for herding kittens and keeping people together and planning things and, treasury and secretarying and all that kind of stuff I do really well at. And so that's how I got to that part right there. Now, all that time, I just still fish for fun.
So, hold on real quick. Hey, carp wranglers out there on Facebook, if you guys don't mind sharing this video to some group pages like the Hoosier Carpers or the CAG group, a couple other ones, we'll get a little bit more bigger response. Now, also, if you guys got any questions out there for Kristen, just let us know. And I think you're watching it too, aren't you? You can see who's all talking.
I am now. Yeah, I'm trying to see what everybody's saying in here.
But
I'm the wrong one.
but real quick, you keep on saying hurting kids. I'm a little slightly confused on hurting kittens.
Hurting kittens?
Yeah.
Okay, so when there's like a mama cat, she's got a litter of like 10 kittens, and it's a major pain in the ass to keep track of them all, and the mom cat's always running around grabbing one by the neck, bringing it back to her little box, and then another one's running off, that's like herding kittens, keeping track of a pack of carp anglers.
Okay, sorry, now I'm caught on. I got you now. That's it. That's what I kind of thought. I just want to make sure. That's like, why would she hurt kittens for? That's kind of mean.
Not hurting them, hurting.
Yeah, gotcha. So, let me ask you a couple of questions real quick. First off, would you like to give any shout out to anybody?
Not to anybody in particular, but I want to give a shout out appreciation to all the anglers that actually keep promoting this sport. And throw some praise to the anglers that take time to teach kids how to do this, because we're all going to get old, and we're all going to, at some point not be able to do it. So teaching the kids is the only way we're going to keep this sport going, instead of instilling them the appreciation. And I mean, a tremendous shout out to all the people that have been able to take time and go catch fish. I've seen some unbelievable Facebook posts right now that I'm so salty about because I've been working and I can't get out there. But yeah, those are my shout outs. Congrats to all the people that are catching. Thank you to everybody who's teaching. And, big thank you to everybody who's I'm probably flapping my guns way too much.
No, you're good. You're good, 100%. Also, let me ask you a quick question. Who do you always looked up to as a mentor on carp fishing?
So of course, my main mentors are Bogdan and Mihai, because they took me under their wing, when they saw that I was getting super serious about stuff.
Right.
But, I always go back to, I have a great appreciation for Rick Slicker and Gilbert, who in the beginning, and Justin and his brother, Justin Keaton and his brother, because in the beginning, when I, wanted to do it so bad, they had, they took their time, their money, their bait, and took me to places to help me love this sport, and for, that, they are the ones that initially started the whole thing for me. And then,
the whole
competition fishing, it was Bogdan and Mihai who basically groomed me into everything now.
Yeah. It's kind of like the whole Hoosier Carper Tournament Trail back in the day.
Yes.
I loved it. That's what got me started. And I remember my first, Jim Dollins, first person that ever taught me how to make a hair rig, you know, because I didn't know how the hair rigs worked. And most simplest way how to make the hook, you know, the rig itself. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty, that's simple, just the way he showed it. And then other anglers, remember Red? Old Red. He died. He passed away with cancer. Behind the counter, they called him Red. Beard, all that stuff.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
He was the first guy who took me ice fishing before. You know, he was a big. Oh, it was Red and Jerry Pittman. They both took me ice fishing before. And
for carp?
No, just it was winter time and just. That's something on my bucket list I'm still trying to work on is getting my first carp out of the ice.
Oh my gosh, I would love to, but I have this some kind of weird, you know, inane premonition that it's going to be me out on the ice. Not anybody else, it could be 500 other people out there, but it'll be me, the one where the ice goes.
Correct.
Christine goes in the hole, you know? It's just not for me.
I remember the first time I ever went on the ice. Matter of fact, it was over there, right there by Fisherman's Village, and it was. I mean, my two first kids, Nick and Jerry Lynn, they were young at the time, and I got on the ice, and the ice was so tight, where you actually hear like ding, 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 ding. You know, that was the ice stressing, but the ice was so thick. I mean, it was also about 6 inches thick too. I mean, you know, but I tell you, it made my butt puckered up real quick after that. It's like, whoa, this is not good.
That's all it would take. I would just hear one little ice crack, and you know, like the cartoons where whatever cartoon characters like their little feet, you know, running.
Oh, Roadrunner.
Yes. Wrong.
You're right, Richie Edwards. He's a beast. I call him the Iceman.
Man, that's what I was gonna say. Like, give him a jingle or get him up on Facebook.
I tried
he's doing great.
He's every time Ohio man, he's right there, man. He's got this one spot, and he's been on our podcast before too. And we talked about him. And matter of fact, when we was talking to him on the podcast, me and Tommy, he was actually on the ice fishing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I mean,
you know, that dude is one of the most humble people you will ever meet.
Great guy. Yep.
He is so humble, and he's won a lot of tournaments, and
Baldwinsville too.
Angler.
Right there in Baldwinsville.
Yeah, right there in Baldwinsville. I mean, he's broke hearts out there, but he's so humble. Like when you talk to him, he's just so. He's just so sweet and humble and unassuming, and he's not, you know, he doesn't get that big head ever, you know, and every little person that congratulates him, like, hey man, congratulations on that finish, he's always like, oh, thank you so much, you know, do you really think I did a good job? I'm like, oh my God, dude, shut up, you did a fantastic job, you took everybody's money.
Congratulations.
Yes.
It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, but back to Rick and Gilbert. Yeah, I mean those are some great teachers right there on carp angling. And Justin Keaton, he's another good carp angler. You know, I think it's kind of shame that Justin's brother moved down to Texas and all that stuff. I wish he kind of stuck around here. Him and his brother.
Yeah, they were, you know, starting to pair up, doing some tournaments together, like the Texas tournaments. Man, those two guys are no joke. You know, they're not. No. You see little skinny fellas, and you think, you know, okay, you go ahead and think that. Those are good anglers.
They're some good anglers, you know. And, let me get our good question for you. So, there you go. What kind of advice can you give on chumming your swim to bring in the carp?
Okay, so, yeah, let me think about this for a minute, because chumming, for me, is a completely spot dependent. Right. So, I don't have a blanket approach to, you know, oh, I just go in going to do this. It's different for me every time. You know, I might go to a swim that I've been to 10 times and take the exact same crap that I take all the time, and then get there, and there's just something different about the water that makes me change my mind, you know, and this is where, you know, the plumbing and checking the depths and, like, watching to see what's happening, what kind of bubbles, you know, what's on the bottom, is it gravel, is it silt, you know, when you pull your lead back, does it stink? I mean, there's so much that goes into what makes me decide how much I'm going to chum and where I'm going to chum it at. So it's really hard for me, you know, I can't give a blanket answer, but what I can say is if I go somewhere, like let's say I am going somewhere where I know there's a lot of small fish, but there's some big fish too, right? But there's some pesky small ones. What I will do in that case is I will throw some smaller particles, you know, and again, you know, how much I throw depends on how pesky those small fish are. Because really what I want to do, if I'm targeting the bigger fish, I'm going to try to throw in enough particles and sweet corn and stuff like that over into one area to draw those small fish over there, so I can bait boilies and some bigger things like tiger nuts and stuff in another area to draw the bigger fish. Right. I don't know. I'm not an underwater expert, but I've listened to a ton of tales and a ton of people talk, and I've watched videos, and Bogdan Mihai and Rob Hughes and all these different people, you know, they all say the big fish are not going to get into the fracas with those small fish. They're going to wait until that madness is over before they come in. And I believe that's true. I can see that. You know, I do believe that. So if I'm going to a place where I know there's a lot of small fish, I'm going to try to bait somewhere a lot of particles to keep them busy, and then bait small and tight to some rods somewhere else, you know, and hopefully pick off some big fish. So that's, you know, kind of one thing that I'll do. Okay. If I know that I'm going to a place that's predominantly bigger fish, you know, I'm going to have a different tactic for that. I never go into anything, and I know people do it, and it's worked for them. It really has, where they just go in and throw a grain barge, and what the hell, whatever happens, happens. But I'm just not that person, you know. I don't want to waste a bunch of bait, and I don't want to miss fish that I could get. So if I'm going to a place where I know it's, you know, predominantly bigger fish, I'm not going to, you know, bait a massive area. I'm going to find the spots that I want to place my rods. So
and keep it in that little small area, right?
And then I bait right on top of those rods, real tight, real small, you know, whatever I want, you know, some tiger nuts, maybe a little pigeon food, some sweet corn, you know, fish will pop up over it, or if I'm fishing boilies, I'll use PVA with a couple broken boilies, some crushed boilies, and a boilie on my hair, and throw that out. You know, it's really dependent. It's funny because you'll see me come to a tournament, and I probably have like 5 bags of oats, 3 or 4, 5 bags of breadcrumbs, mass quantities of corn from GFS, and I go home with all that same crap. I've had the same bags of oats in my garage for years, you know, just because I want to be prepared in case I do need to drop a grain barge in, but I just never do.
So are you the like the same type of person like I am? You take too much when you go out to a fit, you know, say like a swim for a little bit, for like maybe 6 hours or something? Do you take too much stuff with you?
It's not even possible for me to go to a swim for 6 hours. It's not possible, because it would take me 24 hours to pack my trailer, my truck, you know, somebody else's truck and trailer to bring all the stuff that I think I need for that 6 hours.
Yeah, okay.
When I go fishing, I mean, I have, you know, I've run into people, like not too long ago, I ran into Gilbert and Marshall Burba, you know, out at the harbor,
Marshall,
you know.
He's another great angler.
You know, I just went out there for a few hours, you know, to fish with my husband and, you know, turn him on to some, like, decent-sized fish out there. And they were, you know, pull up, and I'm like, oh, my God, look who's here, Gilbert and Marshall. You know, we kicked it. You know, it's so funny, you know, because I live up north now. And, you know, so they're, you know, everybody, so it's great to see people from Indianapolis come up here. But, so, you know, for me to go fishing for a few hours, it's just not something that I do unless a buddy of mine's like, hey, I'm getting ready to leave this swim, if you want to come by, it's already got bait, I might zoom over with a couple of rods or something. But when I fish, I like to go and stay.
Right.
I like fishing lakes or big rivers, that have nice eddies and stuff like that, where I can set up camp and stay, however long I want to, till the job is done.
So that was another question. Do you prefer lakes or the rivers or ponds?
I prefer lakes, I think, probably I would say is my favorite. Rivers, I do like rivers too.
Yeah.
But I'm so tired of fishing like fast-moving rivers. I'm so tired of that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because all your baits come out, a lot of times all your baits are going out of the water.
It's having to throw to the right or to the left to make it land in front of you, and you just don't know. And, I found that one of the tricks with fishing moving the water is, if you want it to be over here on the right, you're going to have to throw it to the left and hold your line after your cast so you can feel your lead. Boop, 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 boop. You can feel it, and then you feel it kind of where it falls. And, it's a fine, science of trying to figure out how many boops of it rolling. So each roll is a boop, in my language, boop, 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 right?
Gotcha.
So it rolled, boop, 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 down the way. And, I count in seconds. 1 boop, 1/1000 boop, 1/1000 boop, 2, and I can kind of, think where I thought it landed to try to get more bait there. It's just a mess. It just takes too much thinking to fish fast-moving rivers to me,
It does.
I like places where there's slack water or an eddy, and that's that.
Yeah. So I'm again, what kind of advice would you give me? I'm going to Dale Hollow this weekend on chumming. So what would you suggest that I would do right now, right when I get there? What kind of chumming would you suggest?
Oh my gosh.
You Dale Hollow.
Dale Hollow experts are probably going to be like, oh my God, give her the guillotine. Because I think I might do it a little bit different, and I'm not saying that my way works, because like I've said, I've personally seen people go in and just dump a shit ton of bait into the water, and they do all right. But I always wonder, man, they did all right, but could it have been better? Maybe if there was less bait. But I wonder that about myself all the time too.
Yeah.
Maybe if I threw more bait, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it depends on where you're going, right? Because there's certain places where the guides and stuff go out there and pre-bait. Well, those fish are used to having, however many pounds or whatever of bait those guys throw out there. So they've become accustomed to a certain type of eating, right?
Exactly.
And then there's places where, let's say Taylor's Ford. Taylor's Ford, that's the river. And so those fish, come and go. But they are on a pattern. At least I think they are. That's what it's been for me.
Yeah.
I've very rarely caught fish during the day there, usually from dusk to dawn, and they're most pesky, when you really want to be asleep between 2 and 4, right? So you've eaten, you've drank, you've had a good time, you want to go in your bivvy and burn and fart and go to sleep. No, that's when the fish come, right? That's not happening. So you got to be prepared for that. Taylor's Ford to me is an evening and early morning, time where the fish come. I've fished there so many times. They've always been on a pattern like that. And there's certain areas that they just love to be. So if it was me, this has always been my go-to there. It works for me. Right. I fish 3 foot, 7 foot, 11 foot. So wherever those depths are, I'll have a rod in each of them. And don't forget, in Tennessee, you can fish 99 rods if you want.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. So usually I'll take down 6 rods of my own, and fan them all out.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when the water's up, you think, what, 3 feet? Huh? What's going to be in 3 feet? Well, the 42 that I caught was in 3 feet. It was in 3 feet of water. So, 3 foot gravel, 7 foot gravel, and 11 foot gravel. Those are the easiest spots to me in Del Hollow. And on the OV River side of Taylor's Ford or anywhere over there, it's not that difficult to find gravel. It might be, she said 3, 7, 11. It might be 4, 8 and 12, or, you know what I mean?
Right.
But generally, those depths are the depths that have done really well for me, because at night, they will come in really close, closer than you think.
Oh, yeah. I believe that. I do believe that.
I've been in my bivvy and thought, oh my God, is that thing getting in the door of my bivvy? I mean, it's like that. Did it just get in here? Right? Because they're like right, you wouldn't believe it, but you can literally see their tail splashing like right there in the shallows.
Wow.
So I always start with baiting tight to my rods, right? So I might put, I don't know, like the little dog food scoops, where you might scoop a kibble out of your dog's bowl or whatever,
Yep.
Spawn loads. I'll do spawn loads because that's easy for people to understand. One of my scoops fits in a spawn, right? So I might put 3 scoops of bait out there with my rod. Either, one of them might be right in the bait with a pop hook, one of them might be fish off to the side of it, or whatever, but I bait small and tight, 3 rods, and then I'll take another 3 rods and fish boilies with EVA.
Okay.
And those don't always happen right away. I mean, people that fish boilies know that sometimes it takes a minute.
Man, I tell you, boilies, man. It's tough for me on boilies. It's a different ball game with that. I know Baldwinsville, you have to fish boilies. You know what I mean? But it's just I have a hard time. I can't really. I know they work. It's just to me, I have a hard time with boilies catching fish.
I did not believe. To me, they were like just these little magic orbs that other people had, great luck with. When I first started, I was like, man, if these boilies, I haven't caught a dang thing. I mean, at one point I thought I was buying poison boilies. Like, why can't I catch a fish on a boilie?
Yeah.
I try, stay faithful to it. But, it's a foreign object. These fish are not used to it,
Yeah.
And this is like another thing about flavors and stuff like that. Peaches and pineapples and stuff like that, they don't grow in the lakes or rivers. These are foreign, these are foreign things. So if you overdo it, I feel like you're going to scare away potential customers, If it's just like anything. If you're pushy as a salesman, it turns people off, right? So if you're pushy as an angler, to me it still stands. If you're over baiting, if you're over flavoring, if you're going to push away your little carp customer, they're not used to that. They're not used to these little magic orbs, but once they get a hold of one, they love them.
Yeah.
But it takes time, because if you're fishing these little tiny grains and particles and oh my God, for God's sake, sweet corn, that's a go-to, right? So like in my particle mix, I don't have any secrets. I use pigeon food, right? So I use pigeon food with the maple peas in it, crushed tiger nuts. I hardly ever use whole ones. I'll pressure cook them to death and then put them in a kitchen ninja and just obliterate them and then put them in my mix, right? Mm-hmm. They're nasty, they're sticky, they're gooey. It makes a great bait. I put that in there, just a little bit of crushed boilies and sweet corn. That's it. That's my carp crack. That's it. That's all that it is, right? I don't put flavor in it. I don't do anything special to it. I don't sit there and go, oh man, I'm about to chemist up some kind of craziness. I'm gonna put this amino acid and this, sex pheromone. No, I don't complicate it. I keep it extremely simple.
Yeah. That's how I am. I like sweet corn and corn or boilies, not boilies, tiger nuts. On my rigs, and I'm still willing to learn on the whole boilie. I feel like it just takes time.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's better if you want to learn to have a faith in boilies. I feel like it's better to do that on a long setting fishing. So if you're gonna fish, 3 days, you could possibly get going pretty good. If you're gonna fish 4, 5, 6. That's when you can really see how they work, right? Because once they can find one, or they actually have the nerve to pick it up and get it down their throat and crunch it up and taste those proteins proteins and this and that, they love it. And they'll look for more of them. Yeah. Now, if you go and throw 10 pounds out there in one spot, it's going to be very difficult for them to find your particular boilie.
Right.
So when I fish boilies, I don't, oh man, I got 10 pounds, I need to throw 10 pounds. No, I don't need to throw 10 pounds. What I need to do is put a few out there sporadically, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm fishing 3, 7, and 11 with another set of 3 rods, I might put 3 boilies around one rod, 5 around another one, and maybe 7 spread out real good around the last rod. Because once they find one, they'll come looking for another one. That was good. I want to go. I want to go to another one of those. You start looking for it. Bang! Got your hook. Right.
Game on. I like that.
If you put a bunch of them out there, they're so full of protein and different stuff, they're gonna get full.
Right.
And then you have to wait for it to crap it out so they get hungry again and then look for more. Right?
Right.
So, same thing with, I feel like with the little particles, it's just little tiny stuff. They suck it in, they poop it out, they just keep looking for it. They keep their little faces in it. They're looking, they're stirring up stuff, I'm a small baiter. I don't bait a lot. The only time that I'm going to bait a lot is if I need to keep the small fish busy or if I'm in a tournament and need to shut the guy next to me back.
Yeah, 100%. All right, here's another question for you. What do you think makes a good carp angler?
Oh my God.
Yeah, tell me.
I don't even know how to describe a good carp angler because there's so much that goes into it.
Right.
But, and there's so many different topics. There's a good carp angler would be this and would be that, and they would know this and they would know that. But I feel like every time you go out, you learn something new. And so first and foremost, I feel like you need to have an open mind.
True.
And don't ever think that you know everything because you absolutely do not. You absolutely don't.
Nope.
And there's always somebody that knows more than you. So,
there's always bigger fish out there.
Yeah, if your mouth is closed, then you can hear what's being said. If you're talking, you can't hear what's being said at the same time. So this is like one of my life mottos. If I want to learn the most that I can, then I have to keep my mouth shut so I can hear what's going on, right? So that's how, like, when people are talking about carp fishing, I'm always listening.
Yeah.
Because, it doesn't matter who it is. It's a pay laker, a guy that just started, a kid that just caught one on a worm, a guy that's fly fishing, some guy you've never met. He could look like a bum. He could look like a millionaire. Everybody that's got something to say about it, there's something to be learned.
Yeah.
What you might learn is what they're saying is bullshit, but what you also might learn is something really intelligent that they're saying, right?
Oh, yeah.
So to be a good carp angler, you have to be willing to understand that you don't know everything. And as long as you're willing to listen, you're always going to learn something. That's most important. To be a good carp angler, I feel like you have to be able to not be jealous of other people's catches.
True.
But be congratulatory.
Exactly. Congratulate them.
And be humble.
Yeah.
Because your time will come. It will come. But it's like with all blessings and things and fate and destinies and stuff like that, if you're an ass and you're salty and mean and stuff like that, your blessings are not going to come, Or they might, but who's going to be happy for you? You weren't happy, So I feel like to be a good carp angler, you have to have a good spirit. You have to have a passion. It doesn't matter how much you know. To me, that's irrelevant. You could be a good carp angler and be a beginner. Because if you're passionate and you're willing to learn, and you're willing to teach somebody what you know so that they can, make the sport better.
Exactly.
That's a good carp angler.
Great.
The carp angler has an appreciation for what they caught. Like what I'm telling you, when I caught that 3-pound fish, that guy said, "Can I eat that?" No, and I threw it back, right? Because I appreciated that fish. And
that was your fight.
Because I should appreciate human life first, right? Like, oh my God, that guy's hungry. But to be able to appreciate your catch, whether it's, 1 pound or 50 pounds. You know, it's something that brought you joy. Appreciate your catch and teach somebody else how to do that. That makes a big part anyway.
So what is your PB on common and mirror? You remember?
That's sad. Okay, so do you remember? I'm not that old. I mean, I'm old, but I'm not that old. So yeah, I quasi-remember. So my PB common is the one from Dale Hollow, which was like 42.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah. And then 33.6 is my PB mirror. That also was from Dale Hollow.
Kick ass. Good job. That's better.
Man, you know, I just caught another 40 not too long ago.
No kidding. Where at?
But it wasn't at Dale Hollow. I went to Baldwinsville to fish Onondaga Lake.
Okay. Sweet.
And I went and fished like right down where Richie had been fishing in the tournament. And I caught the exact same 40 that he caught. It was exactly the same one. Yeah, it had the broken dorsal fin and everything. So it was.
Isn't that amazing how that one fish comes back, or it comes back on their surface of, you know, get its photo taken again? Like, man, I know that. It's like, who had it?
Yes.
So who was it? I think one of my teammates, Ricky Mason, he seen a photo that my other teammate, DeJuan's son, caught, and then 2-3 years later, that fish got caught again. And I was like, you know, the same mirror patterns and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of amazing. I just think it's crazy. You know, of course, you know how big Dale Hollow is. You know, wow. All right, here you go. What is your favorite memory or special moment in carp fishing?
Man, a special moment.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, man, I've had a lot of them. Well, I could tell some funny stories with Gilbert, but when I caught, I think like my very first 30 in Del Mar, there's a pretty good story there. Gilbert slept through the whole dang thing, and you know, so all right, yeah, this is like one of the good memories. I got two. I'll tell two, but I'll try to be fast.
No, you're fine.
So Gilbert calls me up and he's like, "Hey, you want to go to, you know, Dale Hollow?" And I'm like, "Well, you know, yeah, where the hell's that at?" Like, I didn't know anything about it. He's like, "Oh my God, it's this magical place. They got mirrors, they got this, they got that." And at the time, oh my gosh, who was fishing out there? There was some people fishing out there that had told Gil, "Come on down." And, you know, they were like big names at the time. I forgot. I feel so stupid right now because I'm drawing a blank. But Tim, I forgot his last name. He's the one that had the like most beautiful little boxer. I hope he still has his boxer dog. Such a cool dog. And then there was Rob, who is the most amazing bankside cook you could possibly imagine. And then it was like it was either Dave Moore or one of Dave Moore's friends.
Oh, Rob. Okay, yeah. I know. Rob.
Ron Mills.
Rob Mills, yes.
Rob Mills. Okay, Rob Mills, Tim, you know Tim, the guy that's always with him, Tim.
Yes, matter of fact, my cousin Rex and Tim, matter of fact, they just went to Dale Hollow last week together.
Yeah, and he has that cool little boxer dog, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so then Rob Mills and Tim Creek, there you go. Tim Creek. And then there was somebody else, like, I can't remember, Gilbert probably remembers who they. Anyways, we go down there, right? Oh my God, I'm so excited. I've never done anything like this.
Gilbert says Creek.
You know, Gilbert's showing me pictures of these massive fish people are catching, and I'm like, I can like barely contain myself, right? So, and I don't really know what to expect when we get down there. So we get down there, and the only place left to fish is literally like this little crappy area where Gilbert and I could barely, and when I say barely, like our two babies were elbows to assholes. Like they were, I think we could have used the same peg holes in the corners, you know, that's how close, you know what I mean? And then there was like a square inch from the front of your bibby to the water. So your pod was basically in front of your bibby door where like when you come out, you had to almost step over it, you know, if you needed to get out of your bibby. I mean, it was that tight and that close. The water was up, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, we had to jump down to, you know, it was like an embankment. And I'm sitting there thinking, what kind of swim is this? twist that you have to like crawl and belly crawl up this hill and like pull yourself up by the grass, you know, to get back to your truck. I am not physically in shape for this kind of nonsense. But anyways, you know, we get it done, and, you know, I got rods out, and Gilbert and I both have rods out. He's like, you fish over there, you know, don't get your shit tangled up with mine. I'm going to fish over here, you know, make sure you cast. You know, because I was new, you know, so when I cast, God knows where that
greenhorn, get over there. What's wrong with you?
Keep your rods over there. I'm going to keep mine over here. You know, try not to get your crap tangled up with mine. Don't, you know.
Leave the professionals here. Leave the professionals.
Yeah, so, you know, like, Gilbert's, you know, like, the old wise guy, you know, so, you know, I'm like listening, you know, and then you gotta listen to your elders, you know, even if he was like a little bit crotchety sometimes, like, all right, Gil, alright, so I throw all my rods over there, and, you know, he goes off to sleep, and all of a sudden, my alarm goes off, and I'm screaming. Now, I don't know, but Gilbert, I don't know if he does now, but mother of Christ, this is a guy that can snore. So, he's getting it in on the snoring.
Yeah, I heard him snore before.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is happening in his booty with the snoring. So, my alarms are going off, and I'm screaming. And I'm telling you, I'm standing in like an 80 square foot spot that has both of our bivvies and our pots, and I'm screaming. You know, I'm like kicking the bivvy, I'm doing everything I can. Because I have never netted my own fish before, ever, up to this point. You know, I was brand new at doing this. So I was terrified to even walk in the water. You know, I'm thinking, oh my God, there's snakes, there could be an alligator, you know, there could be, God knows what is in this water. You know, I saw it in the daytime, but when we got there, it was almost dusk, and we just threw our stuff in there. I'm screaming, he does nothing. He's in there farting and snoring and whatever, you know. Finally, I just had to, like, get my net and, you know, get out there. I got it done. My heart's racing. I'm pounding. I'm sweating, you know. I'm dragging. I have my rod. I know nothing about, like, netting my own fish. So I have the fish. I see that it is a mammoth, you know, beautiful, mirror fish.
Beautiful.
I'm dragging it up there, you know, I got this net, and I'm thinking, holy crap, you know, this guy's still in here farting and snoring. I'm trying to drag this net, and I'm just knowing, like, I'm going to drag the bottom out of the net, the fish is going to get away, Gilbert's going to be bitching that I broke his net, like, this whole trip's just going to go to hell, because he
broke his net?
Snoring. No, I didn't, but I thought I was going to.
Wow.
I get the fish up onto the bank, I roll it onto the, you know, mat, because, you know, I'm trying to, like, and my pole's still attached to it. I hadn't had an experience like this where I had to do it myself, right? And finally, you know, I got this fish on the mat, and I fold the mat over, you know, I make sure it's all, like, tucked in and safe, because now at this point, I am pissed, right? I'm pissed because he's still snoring. And I have this amazing catch and nobody to share it with, you know, nobody to share it with, because it's a little trot to the other guys, you know, and I see like their headlights, they're even screaming, did you get one? Right, Gilbert's still snoring, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I got it all by myself, thanks guys, right? Thank you. And so, you know, I like unzip the flap to Gilbert, you know, and he's like rolls out of bed, starts stretching, what's up, you know? What's going on? What's all the fracas about? I mean, I got a fish, that's what, you know? He comes out and is like, holy shit, you know? You caught that by yourself, you netted it by yourself, whoa, you know, made the big fanfare, made me feel all special or warm inside, you know? And we got this, that picture I think that you had, I had like total warm fuzzies, trust me. So that picture that I think you started with, where I'm like standing there with that really light colored mirror, that was the fish.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
How big was that?
That was it.
How much did it weigh?
It was just 30, like 30 pounds, 3 ounces. You know, something, 30 something, but 30 point something.
So that was your favorite memory of Gilbert snoring like a freight train, and you catching your 30 netting yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
So there was that. And I mean, I have such amazing stories, but the other one would just be real quick. Has got to be the 42 in Dale Hollow, only because.
42, wow.
I 42, and I never dreamed that be right there in 3 foot of water for one thing, but I literally was fishing one single piece of K1 Baits flavored corn. One piece. That's it. And it was a tiny hook. It was like a size 10. It was real small. I forgot who told me to try it. It might have been Bob or me hired. One of the K1 Baits guys said, oh, don't count out little tiny baits. I'm like, yeah, all right. Well, I had these 9.5 foot St. Croix rods, and so since I was only fishing like 3 feet of water, I just tossed it out there. One single piece of stinky corn. That's it. And that was the rod. Meow, it's going off. Now, it was our last night there, so, Justin and I, we had tied wood on. For me to get out of the bivvy, I did not walk out. I waddled out, right? Because I'd been drinking. So it was not a straight line walk for me to the rods, if that makes sense. It was a waddle, a drunken waddle.
Kind of like when you go, how they do those little games. You put your back on the ground, you put your head on there, you go around circles, and then you take off, try to run.
Yes, it was exactly like that.
Why is he going way to the right for?
The alarm's going off. It looks like a bear's trying to get out of the BB. I'm trying to find the zipper. Justin's going, man, you gotta run. No, the alarm just decided to go off on its own for no reason. Yeah, I gotta run, dude. So, we come down, meet at the middle. He's like, oh, what do you got? I'm like, man, it's a snag. And he's like, no, that's not snag. So I, move over to the left. I do a little this or that, playing the fish. Oh, it's not snagged. The thing just fell like a tank. But at first, it took off like a bat out of hell, like an angry 20-pounder male. How they are. They're just like, no. Well, and I got it back, and then I thought it was snagged, and then it wasn't snagged. It just didn't want to move. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. Is it snagged, or is that just something big? I can't turn it. I can't move it. It won't do anything. So I put the tip. I kept the pressure, but I lowered the tip of my rod in the water to kind of give it the comfort. If a fish is doing something I don't want it to do, I'll go that same direction so that it feels comfortable, if that makes sense. And then I can
makes perfect
sense.
I know this trouble. Yeah.
So, if it's down low and it doesn't want to come up, I'll put my tip of my rod down in the water to relieve it of that stress. And it might feel comfortable enough to come up. Well, it worked. It doesn't always work, but most of the time it does. So all of a sudden it come up, and Justin's like, oh, Jesus Christ, it's a monster, I'm thinking, oh my God, Justin can be dramatic, I'm like,
Not Justin.
It's just another 30. He's like, just another 30, what the hell's wrong with you? You're spoiled, So anyways, he's out there with the net, grumbling and trying to guide me. It's dark. I don't have my headlamp, so I'm going by everything he's saying. Finally, we get this thing in. He gets it in the net. He's like, oh my God, Christine, it's a 40.
Oh my God.
Justin isn't me and Justin are close, so I know he can be dramatic, and he can be dramatic with me because we're like that with each other. So I was like, dude, whatever, just drag it up here. He's like, well, man, God dang, it's at least a 35. Well, I knew he was serious then, because he went to lift it up, and it was like a struggle for him.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that is a beast. This thing is unbelievable. So and it was like 40.6, 42.6, and it's just a moment that you'll never forget. And I feel like if I catch a 45, for some reason, that 42 is still always going to be special because it was the depth that I was fishing in, the one little tiny piece of corn, the 9-foot rod, Justin's excitement, the fact that we were half blazed, trying to get it done, and it was just great. Those kind of experiences are great.
I like that. That's great. That's a good story. Wow. I like that. That's exciting, especially a 40. Wow.
Oh my gosh, I know. And I have fished a lot, and I just finally caught another 40.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to get some good questions out here for you. What would you say would attract the carp? The pack bait or the flavor on the okay. What would you say that would attract the carp? The pack bait or the flavor on your pickup?
Gosh. I believe it's the pack. I honestly believe it's the pack. Because, like I said before, flavors, unless you're fishing like crab or, man, like I have a very difficult time fishing fishy flavors because they're so strong that...
You think it attracts the catfish more?
I mean, yeah, but I've also fished like Amazing Peach and this and that, still nailed, catfish. So, yeah. But I do feel like the really stinchy flavors do attract them more. Okay. And I do feel like they have a place. So, if, I keep going back to Dale Hollow, but take Dale Hollow for instance, or even take Baldwinsville for instance. There's certain parts of the shoreline where it's loaded with zebra mussels, right? The shells. True. So, just like any mussel, they stink, right? Right. So that smell, and the carp feed on those. So that smell, if, placed on the right thing, probably would attract those to come over there because they're used to that smell.
I think that's what makes Dale Hollow so special, because of all the zebra mussels that's in there.
Yeah, I don't know if those are zebras or just like what kind of mussels they are, but in Baldwinsville, it's like loaded, with zebra mussels. Yeah, I mean, there's lots and lots of them. But it's a fabulous food source, I mean, it's just keeping these fish plump. But getting back to the question, I feel like both play a part and can play a part. Yeah. But it's one of those things that everybody's never going to agree because, somebody might have a favorite go-to flavor, and it wouldn't matter if you poured it on a turd. They throw that out there, they're going to swear to God it was the flavor, and I might swear to God, nope, that was a special turd. I mean, it's so more, it's a debate that carp anglers, no, it's the pack, well, that's not pack, it's method. Man, whatever, if it catches you fish, I mean, we can argue if a stick is a stick or if it's a snowman's on. People are going to always argue about something, right?
It's like everybody's got an opinion like assholes or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like it's whatever is in your pack, because whatever's in my pack is also the particles that I bait with. So in my pack, and I mean, if anybody cares, I don't even care to share how to make the pack that I always use every single time. So the little tiny corn cans, whatever they are, 10 ounces or whatever, the ones you just throw in your bucket, open up with a little can or whatever, throw your corn in there, right? So an empty corn can, it's 8 cans of steamrolled oats, and then 4 cans of panko. And then I grab a couple of handfuls of pigeon food and throw that in there, a handful of tiger nuts, crushed tiger nuts, throw that in there, and whatever other little light crap you got laying around. You want to throw in maple peas, you want to throw in sunflower seeds, who cares? Throw stuff in there. It's still going to pack good. Yeah. But now you got something that when it hits the water and it lands and your little bait ball opens, all these little tiny things are going to make a mess and float around and give a nosy carp a reason to go over there and check it out, right? Right. So I don't ordinarily flavor my bait. I will at times do it. My favorite flavor to put in there is peach. And my second favorite flavor is just the flavor of sweet corn because it always attracts the carp.
Yeah, I like that too. I also like banana. Banana.
I love banana in the winter.
Oh, do you? That's awesome.
Yes. I love banana in the wintertime because it's such a mellow flavor.
Well, since we're still talking about bait, what is the weirdest bait you ever used?
See, and this is a bait that like other people use all the time, but to me, it is funky and it is foul, and that is like any kind of fish food, like the trout chow, the fish meals, anything that makes my hands smell like someone's ass. I don't want to use it. I just don't want to do it because my hands get stuck stinking like that. So, and then people laugh at me because I'm wearing rubber gloves. What are you doing with rubber gloves? I don't want my hands to stink like that. I still need to pick my nose and scratch my face and stuff like that. I don't want to smell that all day.
All right, here's what would you say is your, we already did that one. My bad. What is your favorite swim you ever liked to fish on? I think it's...
It's got to be Dale Hollow.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's got to be Dale Hollow. Because Dale Hollow is a mix of broken dreams, broken hearts, and, dreams achieved. I've been out there and taken someone and been like, oh my God, we're about to kill it. And, get out there and catch 2 fish in 3 days. And then there's other times, I've been there 3 or 4 days and you absolutely do kill it, It's magical. You never know what's going to happen. And you never know who you're going to run into. Anymore, you go out there and you run into different people. I've met new people, that I've never met before. Hey, aren't you so-and-so? We're friends on Facebook. Hey, dude, what's up here? It's neat.
Oh, I know how you feel. I got an exact same problem. I can't leave the house without giving out an autograph or something, but...
oh, my God.
Like my wife Tia, she's like, all right, here we go, roll her eyes again. Okay, how about what is one of your dream lakes you would like to fish at?
Oh my God, I'm sad to say that I don't have one.
Really?
I don't have a spot that I'm like, oh my God, I would love to go over there. Because I find more joy in just trying new things. Now that I've moved away from Indianapolis and up north, there's so many lakes around here, but I've been really swamped. My husband and I have a business that we do, transport hotshot truckers, so we stay really busy, and we haven't had the time.
My nephew does that too. Hotshot truckers.
Yeah, I love it. It's so fun. But, so we travel, and like every day we're driving by something, I'm going, oh my God, put a pin on the map on this one. We got to stop back by this one. We have got to start putting rods, and we're always talking about something, but we're so like money motivated right now that I haven't got to do a lot of extra fishing. So dream lakes that I would love to go to is like to take 5 out of the 60 that are on our list and actually go to those and try them. That would be my dream.
Nice. Do you remember? Man, I'm having a Tinsley.
Is he in here?
No, Tinsley. I think he had that carp. You guys were videotaping him or something.
That was Zach. Zach taped him when he fell on his butt.
Was it Zach?
That was Zach.
No, that was Zach.
That was Zach that filmed him doing that when he fell on the
Oh, Zach filmed it. Okay. Yeah, but it was Tinsley. He was pulling the carp. I want to try to find that video. He's like nice and gently, so swan-like, trying to take his carp to the back to the lake. And all of a sudden his feet just like flew right underneath him. And he's like on his back, and then the carp's like flop, 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 flop into the lake.
Oh my gosh. I have the best Eric Tinsley story.
Yeah, Eric Tinsley.
So, I know I've cussed a little bit on here. I'm going to try, I've been trying my best. So, me and Eric decided to do the first fishing folly one year, right? So we went out to Smalley's Pond in Connorsville. It was just me and him and my dog, the carp hound, right? So, and I promise you, it was colder than a well digger's ass. So we get out there, we have a bivvy, 2 bed chairs, and a heater, right? And my carp. So we get our rods in, and now, at Smalley's Pond, they have that outhouse, right? But where we usually fish at, it's a little jaunt over there, right?
Yeah.
So, this is kind of a gross story, but it is absolutely hilarious. So, we're laying in this bivvy in our bed chairs waiting for something to happen. It's so cold outside. The dog's in there. We're in there. And it's just like barely a 2-man bivvy, and we're crammed in there. And Eric all of a sudden is like, oh my God, my stomach's grumbling. I don't think I'm going to make it over to the outhouse. So, and we're like right there, and the trees don't have leaves. There's nowhere really to hide behind anything or anything, All I said, don't crap, near the bivvy where I'm going to step in it, like, he was like, hey, dude, I wouldn't do that, So, he wanders off, there goes Eric Tinsley waddling off with the toilet paper, right? I'm in the bivvy still, and he comes back, so we start chatting again, and the dog leaves. Nobody thinks anything about the dog leaving, right, out of the bivvy. Dogs do that. They also have to go pee, poop, and all that. So, a little time goes by, and the dog comes back, and the dog walks right up to Eric and licks Eric in the face.
Oh, no.
And Eric says, man, bro, your breath smells like shit. It was like right at that moment we looked at each other. Me and Eric just like looked at each other and was like, oh my God.
It was brought back to him.
And Eric runs out of the bivvy to find that his little pile was gone.
Oh my God.
The dog had got it. She came back in the bivvy and licked him right in the face.
The dog actually was fetching it and brought it back to him.
Well, it's probably like a thank you for the snack. I don't know.
Oh,
but
wow.
like,
Did you have some Kimball's bits today? Oh my God, nasty.
That was like my best memory ever with Eric. Just the way he went, bro, your breath smells like shit, and we instantly looked up at each other, locked eyes, and I was like, oh, dude. Uh-oh.
Oh, poor Eric.
Mm-hmm.
I miss him. He was good.
He's just such a funny person.
Oh,
dude.
he is. He is.
He is hilarious. He's got the best personality.
Okay. Now you might have said this. Do you flavor your bait? And if so, what is your go-to flavor?
So, like, I don't flavor any of my, like, grains or anything like that.
Right.
If I do flavor my pack bait, my go-to is peach. I love Taylor Bait's peach. And there's a couple of different bait companies that make one that's like, oh my gosh, it's almost dead on. And I just love peach. I've done good year-round with peach.
Peach is awesome.
Peach is such a great flavor.
Banana peach, I like both of those. But you said you like
can
banana.
also get just sweet corn flavor, the flavor sweet corn. It's not like dumping your can of sweet corn in there, but the actual like flavor, the essence of sweet corn, and that works really well too.
Yep. Yeah, I got one of my products has got that sweet corn flavor to it. All right. Now where's man? What is wonder? Okay, I already did that for some reason. Now, what kind of rigs or pickups do you prefer? Now, what kind of like is it just a simple rig? Is it?
Yeah, you know what? I went through this phase several years back where I became obsessed with knowing how to tie every freaking rig that there is.
Sounds like Marshall Burla.
Obsessed. I was obsessed. I would watch videos for hours. God knows how much of my retirement, David Moore has for me ordering hooks and little this and that, and oh my God, I've got tackle boxes of stuff that I probably should just give away because I know I'm never going to use it again. But I would sit for hours, days, and tie all these complicated, crazy rigs,
It's like, why?
Yeah, sitting there jabbing myself in the finger trying to put these little tiny beads, get the little bead over the barb on this, it was just crazy. I'd do it for hours and hours and hours. And I'd have all these rig wallets, and on the outside of each rig wallet would say, hair rig or blowback or long shank blowback or Johnny rig or, you name it. If it was, Dubai rig, whatever it was, man, I had tied it, and I had tied it till my fingers bled, right? And, I had this tackle bag that had all these rig wallets, and the crazy thing was those rig wallets were always full, because what would happen is I would get to where I was fishing, and they'd be either too long, too short. Here's too short for my application I'm trying to do now. Here's too long on this one. Okay, and here's too short. You can use, the hair lengtheners or whatever. But why would I want to do that when I can tie a perfect rig that'll work right now? This Johnny rig, okay, it's been in here 6 months. This plastic, I don't like the way it feels now. Just like, there would be all these rigs, and I'm like, it's easier for me to have a few go-tos in my rig wallet, and then if I need something else, tie it right there on site, because I know what depth I'm fishing, how far I want something to be popped up, how big my snowman is going to be, whatever it is, I can tie it right there on site, the exact size that I want. And it only takes a couple minutes, you know. But I would spend hours and weeks, in a lot of these rigs, I would just like give away, like, oh, you need one of these here, here's 30 of them, dumb, just a waste. I mean, the experience is great. I can tie any of them, but
so basically, what do? You just use a couple corns on the hair.
My favorite rigs are standard hair with a hair aligner and with the aligner on the back, right?
Yeah.
And then a long shank blowback rig. My favorite hook is a Nash Bang Twister size 7. Those are my favorite out of everything. And my favorite now fishing boilies. I'm about to tell you guys one of my secrets. Probably a lot of people know this, but I always feel like this is a big secret. If I want to catch a really, really big fish, the longer the hair and the further away your boilie is or your piece of bait from the hook, the bigger the fish it takes to suck that whole thing in, right?
So you say the longer the hair.
Yeah, so if you got, let's say you got your hook length, then you got your hook, and everything's all tied on there, blowback rig or hair rig, whatever it is. Most people will put like 1 or 2 inch hair, whatever their size is. I'll probably put a 6 inch one and put the boilie at the end of that 6 inches, 4 inches, 3 inches, whatever it is. Because a big ass mouth is it gonna take to pick up that boilie and the hook and blow it back out, right?
So would you do a snowman on that?
No, I always do just a single boilie at the end of it, or 2, right?
What size boilie?
Like 24 mils, 2 mils.
2 24 mils, wow.
Yeah. So, I might have a 4 inch hair with 2, or a 5 inch hair with 2 24 mils on it, and there might be still 2-3 inches away from that actual hook.
Damn.
And I've caught some mammoth fish on it. But the bad thing is I've also caught some really greedy 12-pounders with that too.
That's fishing.
That's fishing, but more often than not, you'll get a lot of beeps because there'll be smaller fish that can't pick it all up.
Right.
But if I'm in a tournament and I'm trying to catch 30-pounders to qualify or 20-pounders to qualify, every time I have something smaller than that on my hook takes away from that time that it could have been in there catching something bigger, right? Yeah. So trying to single out bigger fish, that's the way that I try it. That's the way, because yes, you will catch big fish on small items, tiny baits. I caught a 42 on a single piece of corn, right?
3 feet from the bank, yeah.
3 feet from the bank. It happens. But when you have, like a tournament, like say Baldwinsville or any other one where it's a 20-pound minimum, but the average of everything you've been catching is 12 pounds, that gets annoying, when you need a 20-pound or a 15-pound minimum. So I'll just start making my hairs longer and longer until those small fish leave it alone.
There you go. Rob Stout says she has the best rigs I have ever used, hands down.
Aw, thank you, Rob. Now I'll tell you what, Rob knows the guy's name. Now see, Rob turned me on to some pretty slick rigs too. So
sorry, real quick, Brian, we're talking to Christine Simpson. She's a lady carp angler. I guess you would say it that way. A woman angler that.
It is.
Yeah, fishing.
Oh my gosh, Tia's on there. Hi, Tia.
Yeah, she's on there. She likes to watch me talk a lot, I guess. Half time she wants me to shut up. No, she's messing. But she fishes. I messed up on the whole title. But anyways, go on. I'm sorry. What was you saying?
I'm just Christine. That's it. I'm just Christine. I fish. I love doing it. I love promoting the sport. I've been really lucky in getting sponsored by awesome people and being able to represent the United States with the carp fishing team and stuff like that. It is my privilege, not theirs, to be able to do those kinds of things. Yep, I'm a wild water angler. As I said in the beginning, I know about as much about pay linking as I know about rocket science. We're going to put it that way. I know to hang out and drink with them. That's what I know how to do.
All right. So, what's another one? Good question for you. Okay. What do you prefer the most? Fishing at night or days?
Night.
Yeah. You think they're more active at night, aren't they?
I don't know what it is, but I've done better at night.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when I don't know. You know, I mean, I'm not a fish scientist, but from dusk till dawn are my best hours all the time. You know, I mean, I don't mind sitting there all day. You know, putting in the bait and watching the water and seeing if there's something going on. But my best catches have been at night.
Okay, that's nice. Now here's another. How do you scout out for new swims when you're looking for a big carp?
So this is probably a question not best for me because I don't look
word
for
of mouth,
just
basically.
big carp. No, not that either. You know, because I hate to be that person that, hey man, where'd you catch that at? That's not me. You know, if somebody wants to invite me somewhere or something unprompted, I'm more than happy to go. But I'm never going to be the one that calls somebody up or hits them up on, hey buddy, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to ask anybody where they're at, what they're doing. I'm not going to do that, because people get really attached to their spots, and I respect that.
So that's another good question right there. Now, in your situation, what if you was chumming up a spot that you've been working on for a long time, and then you come on by like the next day and you see somebody fishing in your spot? Would you be like angry with that, or hey, that's my spot, or is it like you see what I'm saying? Because sometimes, especially on the Carp Anglers group a lot or something, you get anglers on there. Oh, I can't believe that, but
that's such a hard subject.
It is a hard subject.
There's people that are like poachers, and it's like one of those things, like, we all want to catch that big fish, right? So if you know that there's a lake or whatever that's, producing some big fish because somehow you figured it out, or you're a, topographical genius that saw a certain plant and knew that it was like whatever, whatever, right? Like,
hey, I know that spot.
Type of algae only grows in this lake. Oh, wow, really? But anyways,
that rock looks familiar. I know that rock.
That rock looks, and it's crazy, like, people do know that. So,
it's true.
There's the people that completely poach other people's swims, and oh my God, that guy just caught that 40 over there. I'm about to go. That's why that poor kid probably blacked out. That's why he blacked out.
Oh, I know that exactly.
Because he doesn't want 400 people showing up. And I don't blame him for that, because now, at this moment, that place is sacred to him, right? That's where he's having a good time. That's where he's put in the work, and he deserves to have the respect to enjoy that spot.
Right.
But does that spot belong to him? Absolutely not. It's a public place. Unless that thing is at his house, on his property, it doesn't belong to him, and that goes for anybody. Now, I get it to be protective of your investment, because your time, and your expectation. If you're baiting a spot for days and days and days, and you're not fishing it, and you're not putting pressure on the water, and you're doing things that you think are right and it's going to work for you, and you show up, oh my God, today's the MFing day, I'm about to go kill these fish, and you get there and there's somebody standing there, I want to shut the boat up his ass. I mean, it's that simple. But would I do it? No, of course not. I would try to be like, hey,
you're my spot.
Excuse me.
Okay.
But, I've been, there's a polite way, because maybe that person did not know.
Yeah.
If he wasn't there with me, seeing me put all that bait, how how would he know that I've been doing that, right? So there's got to be like a common respect with anglers. Yeah. One, don't encroach on somebody's area, specifically if you know. If you don't know and someone shows up, be kind. Don't just start barking.
Oh man, you just opened up another book with me right there.
Don't start barking at somebody because they might bite you. There's no reason to bark.
Exactly.
Right?
What would you? Change the subject real quick because mine just did a 360 somewhere. When certain group page, I don't really want to say the name of it. When a beginner carp angler gets on there and he's holding the carp the wrong way.
Oh my God, this gets on my nerves. Oh my God.
You know what I'm talking about. And then you got everybody has to say, "Oh, what is wrong with you? Are you stupid? You're holding the fish the wrong way." Or something totally.
Here, I have gone on to those kinds of posts and reamed people's ass for how they're talking to people like that.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you mean to tell me that however old you are, 37, 47, 57, that the moment you came out of your mama's kitchen, you fell on the ground and knew.
You knew it. Automatically.
That you knew that when you caught a carp, you should have a mat and, this $200 mat and this fish lip kit. You knew that as soon as you fell out of your mom's kitchen. Because somewhere, you're not going to make me believe that, somewhere along the line, somebody taught you, whether you saw it on TV or, I didn't know that. When Gilbert and Rick took me fishing, and when Justin did, I didn't know that. When they started pulling out these stinky mats, I'm like, ew, gross, what the hell is that? That stank, right? Well, it's where we lay the fish down.
But I'm all about carp care, but you're right. A new carp angler, should be tortured like that.
I mean, they talk like $1 million worth of shit to these kids. They're not born with this knowledge. You're going to run them away from the sport instead of bring them towards it.
Exactly. You're right. I feel like it would do more damage to that beginner than more than anything. Where it actually just turn them off. Forget this. I mean, you're not going to teach me the right way. I mean, or what? Or you're going to bash me like that? Why should I even fish for carp?
Man, the way to teach anybody anything is with compassion, with empathy, with understanding.
Exactly.
If you give a negative, you're going to get a negative back.
Exactly.
And the other thing is like this.
That person probably became a bow angler, a carp angler, a bow fisherman just because of that whole situation.
Yeah, I mean that's somebody's kid, If somebody spoke to my child like that on social media, the mat being on the ground is the last place they have to worry about that mat being.
You better have that mat underneath you because it's going to.
They have to worry about being at one with that mat, right?
Right.
It being a part of your underwear somehow.
Oh well, yeah, it's kind of sad when you see subjects like that. I mean, how would you suggest saying it to that person?
I mean, I have done this actually.
Or what would be the proper way? If you see an
well, the proper way to me, I mean, if you're going to do it on a public forum and not in a private message, and I have done this, is said, all right, before the Nazis come, because they're coming, believe me, the Germans are coming, right?
Yeah.
You can hear their footsteps in the distance. Before the Nazis, the mat Nazis come, there's, and I might post a link, maybe holding the fish, but I don't know, I'm a mom, I don't talk to kids like that,
Well, it don't even have to be a kid too. I mean, I say your kids.
There's grown-ups,
too.
Some guy's completely excited. He's out fishing for a bass and he's caught a 25-pound-foot carp. I would want to post that somewhere. How would I know if the people at Westside Bait or Justin or Rick or Gilbert didn't tell me, like, hey man, don't grab that bite, because if I hadn't seen other people picking it up by, by its body with two hands and laying it on a mat, I would have grabbed it like I would have grabbed a bass.
Yeah, yeah.
I would have grabbed it right by its mouth. How else would you know unless somebody teaches you? And none of them guys went, oh, you dumbass, you think, no. They're like, oh, no, put that back down, we pick it up like this,
That's going to be, when I first started carp fishing, and it takes you, if I was just in bass fishing and cat fishing at that time, and when I started carp fishing and I caught a carp, that's what got me turned on with carp fishing. But I wanted to weigh this one carp. I didn't know how. You remember those old metal scales that you used to put in your tackle box, but they're made of metal. It's a weighing scale. And
you run it through their gills and lip?
Yeah. I did that. I said, how do you weigh this thing? And they go, well, you just put it on the lip. But I'm hearing it from another bass angler, whatever. It's like, I didn't know, and what I knew today, and I was holding this big old 15, 16 pound carp that was on this metal scale. I was totally dumbfounded. I did not know how to hold a carp back now that I do now, you know what I mean? But,
oh my gosh, James, seriously, when I started carp fishing, like I said, everything that I would catch before that, I was fishing to eat, trout, bass, smallmouth, perch, crappie. So, now I have even a more hearty respect for them because I would have a cooler with me, catch that fish and fling it right into the cooler and let it flop itself to death, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I can't do that. If I catch one, it's an immediate belly slit, clean it out, put it out of its misery, and then lay it in the cooler on ice, I can't imagine, the way that I've been taught to handle carp and respect them has really taught me a lot about other fish, even though I'm going to eat the little bastard at the end of the night, it shouldn't suffer over it, right?
Yeah. Well, anybody got any questions out there for Kristen? Anybody? Let's see. I'm going to look on here real quick. Is it a certain bait bigger carp prefer? Brian Miller says, if I told you that I knew the answer to that, I would be a liar because I don't. I've caught big carp on tiny things and I've caught big carp on big things. So, I don't know if you were in here, but if I'm going to be somewhere for a very long time, which I figure is 4 to 7 days or more, I tend to fish more boilies. They take a lot longer, usually, for the fish to turn on to them, but once you get them turned on to them, it doesn't take as many to keep fish coming in because they start to look for them. Right. So, and then you can, this is going to sound ridiculous, but let's say you have one 24 millimeter on there, and that 24 millimeter is bringing you 12-pound fish, and you're starting to get irritated because you really want a 30 or, 40 or 70, whatever, is out there. But make your hair longer, add more big boilies to it. Believe it or not, it does work, because a bigger mouth and a larger fish with more pressure, like I said before, it takes to pull that in, right? And, start singling out your bigger fish that way. But again, I'm going to repeat, don't count out small baits. You can never count out one single piece of rubber corn or a triple stack of rubber corn or a single piece of sweet corn. It all works. You have to start with what you feel confident with. Always have your confident rods, your baits that you're confident with. And then try something different on one rod. You don't like boilies, you don't feel like they work, don't give up on it. They do work. There's many tournament winners that'll tell you that's what they were fishing with. They work, they do. But you have to fish it in the right aspect, at the right place, and fish them the right way. You can't just throw it out there and be like, man, I hate boilies, that thing's been out there all friggin' day and it didn't catch a thing. That sounds like me.
It totally won't.
So, okay, David Ash, he says, top 5 wild water carp anglers in the USA.
Oh my God, who do I think they are?
James Sanders, who else is there?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That would be extremely difficult for me to pick, but I don't want to sound like, horrible or anything, but I feel like we have, most of those on Team USA Carp Squad, but there's a lot of carp anglers that don't show up to the tournament scenes. They're not involved in that. They only fish for fun. They're unbelievable carp anglers, but you don't hear about them or get to see them because they're not in that limelight of tournament fishing and stuff like that.
Right.
But you can't say that they're not some of the best that's out there, So it'd be difficult for me to pick. If I had to pick, tournament scene anglers, it's impossible to pick 5 because there's so many good ones. There's so many. And if I picked 5, then I would be, right when this ended, I'd be like, oh my gosh, doggone it, I forgot so-and-so and so-and-so. So it's impossible for me to answer that question. There's too many that are amazing to pick a top 5. And I wouldn't want to offend anybody, and miss somebody, because I just wouldn't want to do that or not recognize somebody that deserves recognition.
Oh, you didn't say my name. All right. Okay. Brian Mills.
Do I make my own boilies?
Yep.
I absolutely do not make my own boilies.
Speaking of boilies, you say you use boilies a lot. What's your favorite flavor boilies do you use a lot?
Pineapple.
Pineapple. It's killer out there. Pineapple's good.
Pineapple.
Yeah. I like pineapple.
Pineapple is my favorite. Because here's the thing, and this is what I've found across the board. Everybody's peach is not the same. Everybody's pineapple is not the same. They all have something different.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the different makers in the USA, I've done well on every person's pineapple. Whether it be K1 Bates or, Keith, Joe Lutz, messes around with them. You got all the stuff that Dave Moore has on his list. I've tried pineapple from everybody. And all of the pineapple for some reason works. Now I've tried peach from everybody, and some peaches, I just don't have any luck with. Some bananas I don't have luck with. They're just not the same across the board. Yeah. But for some reason, pineapple has never failed me.
Yeah. Oh, I think pineapple's a great wild water to me. I feel like for wild water, pineapple's the best, especially with boilies. If you're talking about pay lakes, I feel like grape flavors is great for pay lakes, in my opinion. I'm a professional pay laker, but
I am a man. Look, if they got great flavored beer on there, but
I can't stand
carp fishing.
My taste buds, I can't stand grape. I don't know what it is. I just can't stand grape. And it's just in my mindset. If I think, since I don't like grape, I feel like my carp's not gonna like grape too. You ever get that?
Yeah, that's like the worst mindset, because there's stuff that you think like, oh my god, why the hell would a carp like a dill pickle? When the hell has a carp ever seen a dill pickle? But I've used dill pickle flavor, and it's done okay. Dude, who gave you a plastic? When did that happen?
Here's one. What is the craziest experience while fishing?
Oh man, well, that situation with Eric Kinsley that I talked about.
Yeah, that's sad. For Eric.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, I have a whole nother experience that's equally as funny, but it also involves poop. You know what? No, I'm not going to tell that one, because there was a second experience with Eric Kinsley that I just remembered about Lazy L Lake, and it also involves poop, but I'm going to spare him.
I love Lazy L Lake.
Yes, I'm going to spare Eric that one right there. I know what would be my craziest non-poop related experience while fishing.
No, that's me. Go on.
I have one that's non-poop related. So, when I was fishing in Lake Fork, it was really cold, and I was in my bivvy, and my rods, my rods are in the water, and I'm really happy with their placement. I'm happy with my bait placement. I was actually really happy with my peg in general. So I'm in my bivvy, and I'm resting, trying to stay warm, waiting for the alarms to go off, and all of a sudden, the telltale ringing of a yelp. And I am excited. I explode out of this bivvy, right?
Nice, yeah.
But as soon as I explode out of the bivvy, I notice that there's absolutely something wrong. I mean, it's something right, but it was wrong.
Right.
All 3 rods are going off at the same time, right? And, like, the odds of that happening are not that often. They all 3, same time, right? And so it's dark. I'm fumbling around for my headlight. I finally get it on. I'm trying to figure out, like, why would all 3 of these be going off at the same time? But I can see all of the tips, like, pulling hard to the right.
Okay.
So I run down to the rods, and I get my headlight turned on, and there's an alligator with my lines.
An alligator?
An alligator.
What state are you in?
Texas.
Oh, okay, that makes sense now.
Yes.
Wow.
There's an alligator just cruising, along, and I can see, like, each one of my lines has, like, one of those little, like, the little pointy things that come off its tail, whatever that is.
Godzilla just went through my lines.
Yeah, so there's a line, like, attached to, like, boop, 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 all along its tail, and it's just, pulling lines out, and I'm like, dude, they're all yours. I grab my little shears right there, cut all 3, carry on, friend.
Oh, you don't want to take the needle nose to that one to get their hook out of the mouth?
Pass, right? Pass. And it was like at that moment that like so much happened at that moment. It's like in the movies where the record stops. Like everything slows down. You start like thinking, man, have I done everything in my life that I've wanted to do? Should I start praying? Am I still a sinner? Am I going to heaven? Like all this
Am I still a sinner?
Because in my mind, I know for sure that I am on the food chain for this guy, right?
Right.
So I am like, and my dog is acting an absolute ass, barking and attracting attention to us, and I'm ready to kick his teeth out, right? So, like, please be quiet. I'm trying to be as quiet and meek and small as I possibly. I don't even want to be noticed at this moment. Like I wasn't here.
I don't want to be there.
You can have the rods, you can have the pod. Take whatever you need, dude. I'm going to, I want to be safe. I want to be in one piece at the end of this. So, I'm like dragging my dog back into the baby. We get in there, I'm quiet, I turn the lights off, and I become hyper aware of every single noise. I could have heard a gnat bark at that moment, right? Like I could hear everything. He's telling me, "I'm shut up," and all he's doing is breathing.
Now,
right?
was you fishing by yourself?
No, I wasn't fishing by myself, but you could say I was fishing by myself.
Okay.
We'll put it that way.
It's not like Gilbert snoring over there, right? Okay.
I had a fishing partner, but I was fishing by myself. But anyways, so I'm ready to like choke the dog so it'll be quiet, and the poor dog's just like breathing. He's not doing anything at this point. And all of a sudden, a cattail scrapes my bivvy, right? It was like some kind of cat-like reflex. I leapt up on top of my bed chair and let out this blood-curdling scream. I don't know how long it was. Like, to me, it was just like a... But apparently to my neighbors, a whole peg away, they thought I was getting mauled by something, because I could hear them running. Oh my God, are you all right? People's headlights are turning on. I'm like, oh my God, there's an alligator. It's right here. It's like I thought it was right there at the baby, like it was coming in. So there was like pandemonium and everything, and the thing's like long gone. So that's the craziest thing that's ever happened to me, I think.
Wow. All right, Brian Miller, you asked a question, how can I get into wild water tournaments? Because I can't find none in here in South Carolina. Well, I mean,
I don't know if there is any wild water ones in South Carolina. There used to be at Lake Blaylock. Every year there was one.
Yeah, I was going to try to host some, get some started.
That's what
you got enough,
there's some cool fishing waters out there.
Yeah, if we got enough carp anglers around your area, Facebook is always the best place with your friends and to say, hey, I'm getting a little tournament. get a couple of trophies or something, you know. People always likes hardware. Throw so much money into the amount and maybe take like 10% out of the funds to pay for the trophies, and ask, you know, maybe get some couple of bait shops that wants to throw in some door prizes. You know, people likes that kind of stuff. You know, that's what attracts more people to the tournament. You know, payouts. You know, first, second, third, whatever. You know, so many percentage, whatever you want. That always works. Money seems to always talks with tournaments a lot of times. You know, get people in. What do you think, Kristen?
Man, if you're just wanting to go to tournaments and not, have them actually in South Carolina, there's, 2 Baldwinsville tournaments a year. There's a couple up in Waddington every year.
Yeah. Other states too.
They're on the St. Lawrence.
Yeah.
There's one in Connecticut. I have never got to go to the one in Connecticut because it always kind of falls like really close to the World Championships.
Yeah.
There's a super, super fun one in Wisconsin the first weekend of every June, the Wisconsin Carp Championship. It's in a super cool town called Two Rivers. And the crazy thing is, like, this little town, it's called Carp Fest Week. And so these people run around town drinking and carrying on all week long, and they don't even carp fish. They're just so glad we're coming, spending a shit ton of money in their town. But they're so nice to you. Like, they'll ride up to you on their, like, bicycles with baskets full of beer. If you're saying you want a beer, hell yeah, I mean, it's neat because the little town recognizes. It kind of reminds me of Baldwinsville, but, like, much, much smaller.
Nice.
And more quaint, because the townspeople actually come out and talk to you while you're on the bank. Hey, how you doing? Oh, good to see you again, Bring you candy, food, a sandwich, alcohol, I mean, it's fun.
Wow.
And the people that run it are super cool. They keep it easy and mellow. And it's 2 days long, so the way it works is it's Two Rivers, the city of Two Rivers, which is true to its name. There's East River and West River. So if you draw the West River the first day, then you have to draw out of the East River the second day. So, the total weight, it's different sometimes. I think now it's like a 15-pound minimum and 10 fish. It might be 6 fish.
Wow.
They'll release the rules, but it's a very, very, very cool tournament. Very cool. But it's 2 days long, and it's not all night. So it'll be like from 8 to 5 or 7 to 5, and then everybody kind of gets together and goes out and eats. And then when it's all over with, you go to the center of town, and they have like a live band and food. They feed you for free and everything. I mean, it's pretty neat.
That's pretty cool. I like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're coming to the end of the show.
All right.
We both talked each other's heads off, for sure.
I know. I think I've got to be like one of the longest running contestants on your, podcast.
Pretty close. Pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. But hey, Kristen, it's a pleasure. I'm glad you came to our show. It was great talking to you, especially another woman angler. That basically could show, hey, women could keep up with the men too, kind of thing. In my opinion, they're just as good too. But hey, Kristen, thank you very much for coming to the show. Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
No problem. Hey, I'm always a text messenger, baby. If anybody ever wants to ask me questions or if I need, fishing, I'm pretty mobile.
Nice. Yeah. So our next guest will be Rob Stout.
Hey.
Yeah, he'll be here this Wednesday. He runs the business called Get the Lead Out. Great little. He does all your rigs. What are the rigs? Weights, lead weights for it, and he's got an online business. Also, that's be this Wednesday here at around 6:30. Of course, Tommy Pearson will be back then. So always support your local bait shops around your area. If it's all got to go do with people.
Sorry, I don't know the answer to this one, but I'm learning.
Okay.
That sounds like me on most days.
That was weird. But always support your local bait shops, and always practice good carp care with landing mats, knotless nets, just protect the scales. And again, if there's a beginner carp angler that's not holding the carp the right way, don't scold them, teach them nicely. So, what else? For your online carp needs, a big carp and tackle. David Moore and his gang does a great job getting you what you want. Just get on the line and see what happens. And make sure you don't forget to subscribe to our channel here on Team Fish Fighters. And I'm out of here. Hope you guys like. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Thanks, Kristen.